Hello everyone, Natured here again. Today we're going to be doing something that's a little bit different. We're not going to be doing another review episode. We're going to be doing the second review spotlight I've ever done. Really like focusing on a certain aspect of one of the reviews I've done in the past and trying to drill into a very specific like shot or interaction. This one actually came up today at practice. I recorded a video a couple weeks back, I think it was, about this tournament. In the background here in the yellow tunic, that's Glen Mop, one of the best left-handed fighters, probably one of the best foam fighters in the game right now. And there's this interesting Darkside that he threw quite often here that I was interested in. And talking to my buddy Angus at practice today, we were kind of talking about it, trying to figure it out. And I think it was his idea that I can go back through and like do a video on this. But either way, whoever's idea it was, I'm going to do a video on it. So there's a few things that I want to point out in advance, and excuse me, we'll loop back and harp on it again at the end. But just to start out, this is like a dark side shot that is really stealthy. I think dark side shots in general, it's a lot of the reason that they can be good is it hides a lot of what you're doing. What Glenn is doing here is throwing a dark side where the setup of it looks like it could be that classic three-shot lefty big like scoop, that big around the side wrap. Oh, my nose is messing with me. Ah, God. Makes you think I've been doing the fun drugs or something. But it looks kind of like it could be that lefty scoop. It looks like he could be dropping in low for a leg shot, or he could be coming over for that dark side shot. And so if he gets you to buy the leg shot or the scoop, and you want to like suck your shield in to like defend, it opens up that shoulder to that dark side shot. I think this really punishes people who haven't fought a bunch of lefties or have fought a bunch of like mediocre three-shot lefties. Glenn is the three-shot lefty video guy, by the way. If you haven't seen the three-shot lefty video, just plug three-shot lefty into your YouTube search bar and watch it. It's great. But if you're used to somebody who is a three-shot lefty and they really rely on that big lefty sword side wrap, then you're probably going to be wanting to like guard with your shield even more. So it really kind of punishes those people who overmove their shield. Another thing that I want to point out here, this was kind of validating for me to go back through and look at it again. In my initial analysis of this, I thought that Glenn's leg would be a really good thing to target. And it turns out through reviewing this video again, it does seem to be pretty viable. And then finally, if you know somebody has a really good shot they like to throw, can you bait it and punish it? And we'll ponder that a little bit more at the end. For now, let's get started.
It's okay.
There's a few different timestamps we're going to jump around to. Let's see here. So we'll watch this at full speed. But this is the shot. So let's go through it really slow for the first time. So, Glenn starts off by kind of coming high with his hand. This is already some misdirection. Then dropping in low. And so right here, this motion coming down is what I'm talking about. Like this could be a leg shot. This could be, he's obviously kind of far back for this, but if he was closer, either way, if it was closer, it'd be a harder sell. Either way, he could be selling the lefty scoop here. What happens instead, shield comes up, covers, and goes above the head as he assumes this really elongated lunge here and comes out mid-height, wrapping over at the end, turning his hand up. And so I really want to get into the mechanics of this. His arm is going under his shield, and it's ending turned palmed up. Palm turned up. So I was initially mistaken thinking that this was kind of getting thrown the same way I throw my dark sides against lefties. I'm going for that shield shoulder. I'm a right-handed fighter. I tend to come under, though, and come straight down, more like a chop. Glenn here brings that arm out, gets nice and high with his hand, and rolls over into tricep from the outside. And look at where this fella on the right shield is at when it happens. Looks like we really bought that leg shot hard. Boom, there it goes. So let's say this guy doesn't move his shield at all. Let's say he keeps his shield in the same spot and just blocks it. What does he have open on Glenn here? maybe this shot here. Glen is pretty far back. It would require a little bit of a reach. It's important to note here, let's look at the movement. He's already on a step back, so even if he was in position to counter, he probably wouldn't have been able to hit it. But yeah, this is the shot. Let's look at it again, all the way through. Back a little too far, I think. Oh wait, is he armed still? Yeah, alright. Here we go. So, upward movement. Under. Guy overreacts the shield. Boom, tricep. Let's skip ahead here. Actually, I think it's right at about 35 seconds is the next one we're going to look at. Yep, and again, that was pretty fast. But it looks very similar, right? So again, it's not totally done together, but there is some flourishing going on here with Glen's sword. He cocks back a little bit. Doesn't just drop straight under. There's this cock back, begins to go under the shield. Lady here drops her shield trying to get the block. Boom. And this one comes far enough over that it actually hits back of the shoulder going to shoulder blade and scores the kill. And so yeah, again, just another look at this shot. I think the biggest takeaway that I'm getting from here is one, I want to really look at the strapping on Glen's shield and see how where he's strapped at, if that's kind of helping him have this level of mobility, and also look at the amount of lunge on Glen here. Like, this is pretty far forward. I don't think I would be able to throw this shot, being a big fat dude. I don't know if I can get that far out, heavy on my front leg, without hurting something, or, just being able to recover quickly if the shot doesn't do anything. But, yeah. We'll go through it again. Sword comes up, back, under the shield. Fighter on the right. Expects the leg or the scoop. Comes over. And it looks like Glen's doing an excellent job here of also keeping his hand from this point moving forward right at the edge of the plane of his shield, and even comes over and hugs the edge of his shield almost with his hand as it comes out. Extends, rolls the palm over as it clears the shield, and boom, right in. So yeah, really, really, really important to notice again that this isn't a chop. This isn't like this specific motion happening here that's causing the shot is turning this hand over. Whack. 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 This brings up the question, I wonder how significant these shots are. I remember in the original video, I did look up that this is a Darkon tournament, that Darkin does have a sufficient force rule. I know Glen is primarily an amp fighter, but, I throw little Darksides like this all the time. No, sorry. I don't throw little Darksides like this. I throw my own Darksides and shots that don't hit super bodily all the time that are still sufficient. It sounds nice and sufficient. Alright, let's skip ahead to 50 seconds. Okay, this time it fails. So let's look at the difference. Again, Glen, I know I keep saying again, but I'm trying to point out patterns here, right? Glen starts this with a little bit of sword side motion. Dip forward. JK, I'm cocking back for a scoop or a leg. Comes under. Doesn't get this big lunge off this time, and causes him to come in kind of flat. Not super extended. Really awkward stance still, because there's still this attempt to lunge in, but I think they start off too close to each other to really make it happen. Glen loses the arm in this exchange. Hits nothing. But yeah, why doesn't this work here when it worked before? If we go back to this last fight, let's look at the first fight we saw again at 24 seconds. Look at the length of the lead in, right? Big bounding step. Plant. Lean. Smack. Big, 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 big movement. Let's go to 35 seconds. Still pretty far out. Takes a step in, boom. Yeah. Gets that big step in. Going ahead to 50 seconds. Little too close to make it stick. This is a funny fight from here on out. I think this is showing your opponent too much respect. This guy kind of messes around with Glen, and Glen's armed right now. He's holding his sword behind his shield. I feel like you could just swarm, you know, throw a Darkside into his leg. That's also one of the shots that made me wonder if there's significant force here, because it really didn't seem like that was significant, but, you know, impossible to say as an observer. Also, at some point, if we get good line of sight, I want to look at the strapping on Glen's shield. Maybe right here. So it looks like if we have an elbow here, the rear, this looks like it would be glove, rear strap. There's probably a better shot later on. I shouldn't hyperfixate on this. But we know this is where the front strap is because of the glove. And then it looks like we might have a little bit of a low strap and a little bit offset, maybe? Looks like the strapping maybe a little bit low and off to the shield edge. There. That's a good shot. Okay, so that's actually the end of Glen's sleeve there. Yeah, so look at this handle is offset and low, right? So it's a little bit low, and it's a little bit pushed towards this shield edge. This lets you get out a little bit easier from behind your round shield. And also, I imagine, because it's offset, lets you move it over a little bit more. Get some extra mobility while you throw that shot. Alright, next up. At 129.
He said he threw the fight to come over there.
We have this fella in the hat here who will actually go on to face Glen in the semifinals. And yeah, this is something that I believe I brought up in the last video. Glen is so heavy and extended with his front foot here. Like, look, his knee's in front of his shield, right? That leg. It looks like a double leg there. I might have paused through it, but yep, just leg shot twice. And I think that what Glen's thinking here is that if somebody swings for his leg, he can probably just punish them with like you know, trying to go for a kill shot there, trade like leg for dead. But yeah, throw that nice tight and quick double leg shot. I think would be a good place to start. That's where I would start. And part of the reason that I'm showing this video is that Darkside Glen is doing a lot of. You know, lefty versus righty, it's a mirrored matchup. You can throw the same Darkside back at him the same way he's throwing it at you. You know, if your body can move that way. And so I want to kind of focus on this as like something that right-handed fighters can do as well. And the same things that make that shot strong against you, the fact that it looks like a scoop, it looks like a leg shot, and it comes into being a Darkside, you can make that work as well against Glen. One of the things, if I was like, you know, fully IQ'd up this day, and I was fighting Glen this day, that's where I would probably try to start. I love throwing leg shots. I'd probably try throwing to the leg, and then for the next time, coming under, and trying to throw my version of that Darkside and see if I have any success there. With Glen's low strap, it is going to make it a little bit harder to land, but it's not a super low strap, and it's not a super big shield. He is pretty tall, though. So let's continue watching here. Skip on forward. So this is actually the last fight we have for a while. But yeah, the same thing that makes it strong for Glen will make it strong for you. It can look like a lot of different things up until it finally breaks loose. And again, throws that Darkside, but the shot's kind of shallow, right? And again, it's just because of that. What's missing here is that big, deep step. They're a little bit out of striking range. Glen takes a little step in, sets up, steps up, and yeah. I think, honestly, if he hadn't taken that first little closing step here, like, not taken this step, if he had just taken that big stride in, like we saw in the first couple fights, he might have landed this shot. Instead, I don't think there's enough total movement. It's not enough of, like, a lunging level change to confuse the other fighter. Hard to get him to, it doesn't really draw his shield that well down or over. Also, Fella is using a, like, lower strapped heater, so that's going to be a hard one to get out of the way.
Gorg tech strap shield with one arm.
So, skip ahead
this is
here.
A game that supports
This is one of the only times I see Glen throw this and not complete the Darkside motion on him. And I think it's because he's not in the footwork that he wants. He's not in the middle of a lunge, right? He kind of throws it from just dead-legged. Just standing still. And so when I first saw this, I was like, man, Glen's really good. Why is there just this, like, low-threat dump shot coming out? And I wonder if he's trying to do some, like, teaching of his opponent. Like, he's trying to, again, show what looks like a leg shot, and so later on, when he throws for that dark side, there might be that stutter in your opponent's brain thinking that's going to be a leg shot. Let's skip forward again. Hey, look. Double leg. Who would have thought? Gets hit in the face for his troubles. Yeah, let's back it up. Give it a watch. Just on the outside of engagement range. And then even so, like, just on the outside of engagement range. But look at how far forward Glen's knee is. Look at how far away Glen's sword is. Like, maybe this pink shielded fighter's arm is open here. Glen doesn't even try to throw at it. Close in. Go in for the double leg. Get hit in the face. It's a rough game. So yeah, I think the double leg is a good option here. Also, just want to point out, I love these drummers in the background. If you don't want to hear my yapping over all of this.
No, I'm saying it just so happens to be in black and pink.
I feel like you're
This is good foam fighting ASMR with the drums. Yeah, so go watch the whole video on Gorg's channel without all my yapping. This is from Gorg the Blacksmith's channel. Our next timestamp here that I wanted to look at, props to the drummers for making it a good event background noise. I thought about that as a joke, making, like, event ASMR stuff where you just hear people, like, snatches of singing and, like, bottles clashing and, like, fucking, just, like, whacking in the distance, just like nightlife event ASMR. Alright. Hey, look. The leg's still viable, right? Throws to Glen's hand area. Fella calls head on that shot. Yeah, looks like it might have hit him in the ear. We're not here to watch the guy on the left. Let's watch him for a sec. These guys would swing slower, I'd get way more frames out of this deal. I mean, it looks like he drags his hat pretty hard, so it probably scraped him pretty damn good in the ear. But I think that, you know, if you're looking for notes, just keep your sword tip up while you're closing to throw leg shots on Glen. It looks like it lands because the tip is low. But yeah, anyway. Comes in. Even stays in the pocket for a good bit. Look at this shield movement from Glen, too. Really trying to cover that, like, scoot, or cover that sword side. Shield gets out of the way for a second. And the leg's open. So. Yeah. So yeah, you lose the arm, but you got the leg here. And I think that there's probably a coin flip chance that you can just like dive for the leg here and force a Simo if you wanted to, just to get the reset.
Oh, you don't have to take a knee?
But,
You can just drag it?
yeah, you can post and drag and Darkon, which is pretty sweet. Next up, different opponent. Why did I mark at this point in time? Yeah, why did I mark this point in time? What was I talking about? Oh, come on, computer. Why did past Nate timestamp this? Maybe just like the drums. Yeah, no, I don't know why I timestamped this. A gratuitously late hit. Yes, feel shame. So this is a Darkside that's thrown mid combo, not as a big like lead lunge in. It looks like it's triggered by Glen seeing how far over this guy's shield is. So what does fella here do that makes him drag his shield? What does he see that makes him drag his shield so far over? So Glen's hand goes back and down. And he's blocking this red and white fighter's line of sight, it looks like, on what his hand's doing. Then yeah, watch the trajectory of Glen's hand. This kind of looks like that big lefty scoop, right? And it's just what we've been talking about. Homeboy in the red and white is super guarded up to block the lefty scoop. But because his line of sight is broken, he overreacts with his shield, giving Glen a pretty easy avenue in here. And still, ending in this really elongated stance. Front leg locked out, it looks like. Yeah. Not the strongest like shot, like body mechanics wise, I think, but obviously it's effective.
Thanks for tapping.
Oh, the obvious bait. We touched on this at the start of the video. If you know your opponent likes to throw a shot, can you just bait it and like try to play around it? So I noticed this guy on the left, Paulo here, posts his shield up here, way far over to his right side. And it just looks like bait for that dark side, right? It even looks like Glen might be mouthing some words at him there. Maybe he's just breathing, but yeah. So my question is like, okay, so first of all, you got to know that you're going to be fast enough so that your bait doesn't get you just like killed. They don't hit you in your bait and you die. I think given the fact that the shot he's baiting is Glen's dark side there, that's a slow enough to come under and land shot that you have time to shrug your shield back up, like pretty for sure. I just don't know what you would do to exploit it if it works, right? So, like, if Glen does go for the dark side here, I guess from the way Paulo's standing, you are kind of, like, wound up for a big step in and a shot into, like, Glen's under sword arm area if he does go for that dark side. But Glen does not buy it. Glen is also pretty dang good. So almost picks up the kill there. I think it's probably safe to say that a lot of the time, if you are in this kind of like passive range here, both these guys are out of range here, right? Glen's going to, one of the things is in his playbook is this big, like, closing lunge and hitting. I still disagree with this little stutter step he takes. I don't think it's wrong for sure, but I think it kind of eliminates a lot of what your lunge can do to like surprise people with how fast you're like closing range. It doesn't let you like get that big up down kind of like level change that is going to drag people's shield down. However, doing that stutter step in does have a chance to fake somebody out in some different way, making you think that you're stopping to post up to fight when actually you're getting ready to go all in. So. Is it good? Is it bad? I think that really comes down to your opinion on just individual opinion, body style, what your body can do that other people can't. Yep. Big step in, come under. Again, same thing. Paulo on the right here brings his shield across and down, thinking like, oh, is it lefty scoop? Oh shit, no, it's the leg. Oh fuck. It's actually almost dead, but clips him on the face instead. And then at 22:14 is the last one that I wanted to talk about. This is, again, just a pretty straightforward example of how to throw this shot. Good distance between them. And this time there isn't that setup step. He just, like, goes. Throws under. Paulo drags his shield over, expecting to scoop with the leg. Tricep. So, again, this shot is sneaky. It looks like it can look like that scoop. It can look like that leg shot, and then it ends up being a Darkside. You can probably alternate between those three different shots. Like, say somebody gets used to your Darkside, so you just start trying the lefty scoop. Or somebody gets used to your Darkside, so you just start hitting them in the leg instead. Or you throw under, go act like you're going to Darkside, then come back down for that leg, right? It looks like Glen's strapping, the low strapping especially on his shield is really advantageous for throwing this kind of shot where you're trying to table it, guard your other side, and throw under. Yeah, so this shot's sneaky. It definitely goes both ways. You can throw this against lefties if you're a right-handed fighter. Again, I think it really punishes people who are used to just fighting against lefties who like big scoop all the time. Of course, one of the things that you can do to not die to this is not move your shield, be a little bit more rock solid, trust in your sword block a little bit more. If you have a lefty that you can fight, just fight him board v board and get really used to guarding from like that left or that right nipple over area with your sword and really dedicating that shield to the rest of your chest and shoulder coverage. What else? So that's how I think you can definitely not die, is just try to move your shield a little bit less. How do you kill Glen? I think for me, I would start trying with leg shots. Glen's obviously a fantastic fighter. Who's to say if it would work or not? I probably have to go through a few things, and none of them would work. But if I was coaching somebody on like, hey, how do you think you'd kill this guy? I would try to learn this shot. I would try to throw it against him, or really just any kind of Darkside, anything that you can like disguise as a possible leg shot, and then hit him in the leg a lot too. Hit him in the leg a lot too. And if he starts getting used to that, if that starts not working, try to throw that Darkside. That Darkside starts not working, go back to the leg. Finally, as far as baiting it goes, I know I'm not fast enough to probably bait this guy, but those are my thoughts on it. I appreciate you guys watching it. If you have any questions, comment them down below. If you ever see anything in a video that you want me to kind of go more in depth on, let me know. I can do that as well. But thank you all so much for watching, and I hope this was helpful and instructional.